Hey, it's Videobob. I promise this isn't going to turn into a watch channel. This is probably the last one of these I'm going to do. But so for those of you that tune in just for watches, you can check a few of my other videos that I've done about the Daytona and a few other watches. But this today I just got, as you've seen from the title, is the Sea Dweller. Just got it. And comes in its box. Now, I have actually opened this already and sized it in full disclosure, but giving you the experience of unboxing the Sea Dweller. This is pretty much the box they're using for everything now. And there it is. And its glory, isn't it beautiful? I do have in here the book, the card, and I'm going to talk about this here in a minute. I had to take out a tremendous amount of links. I took out the extension, this, and the small link because this thing is just, it's just huge. You know, it's a 43 millimeters as compared to the 40 that most watches, most other Rolexes are. And we'll go ahead and take this off. Sorry. This watch is gigantic. I mean, it is, it's a beast. It's not their biggest watch. The Deep Sea, and I think they make a Yachtmaster also that's bigger. That's a 44. And when you're seeing it by itself, it may not seem that big. I weighed it. It's about 2.5 ounces heavier than a Submariner or the Daytona. Has the gas relief valve on the side here. I'm going to try to keep it as fingerprint free as I can, but you can see it has been worn just a tiny bit. It's not brand new. It's about a year old, but very, very well built. I mean, it's stout. Nice click to this. Very satisfying. Much different than the older dials. So in comparison here is a 1990 two-tone Submariner, and the click on this is, you can't even hear it. The build quality between the old watches and the new watches, it's a completely different watch. Now, I know there's a red hand on here that doesn't belong. I had that hand put on last time I had it serviced because I thought it was cool. I might even have that done to this one. I love the red Sea Dweller writing. Now, on camera, it may not appear to be that much bigger, but I assure you that it is. It's very, when you put it on, you feel it's substantially larger. I mean, it's only 2 ounces, but you feel it. You really do. I mean, we've seen the older Submariners, how they're built. I mean, this is just metal folded over, and this one is 30 years old. I've been wearing it for 15 years. So this is just stamped metal, you know, and it's not junk. But the build quality, like this clasp, is so impressive. The way this opens, and first of all, it's completely flush, And you would think that this crown on there is gonna, you know, be snagging on things, but it really doesn't. At least I haven't noticed it doing it. You have this little spring-loaded mechanism here, and this is just completely milled out. You know, it's not just stamped. And you have the glide lock system, just like on the new subs. It allows this to move back and forth. Let's see. I very rarely see that demonstrated. Now you would have had the diver's extension here. I removed it because it was just too much. And now that I've messed with the adjustment, it may not fit right, but I mean, I thought I had a pretty decent sized wrist till I put this thing on. This is made for somebody who has a bodybuilder size wrist. This is a big watch. And the band is significantly bigger. I mean, when I say significant, it's obviously 3 millimeters, but let's compare it to a new Daytona. Now, I did a video on this watch just recently. Daytona is at 40 millimeters, but look at the side-by-side of this clasp here. I mean, 3 millimeters isn't a lot, but it's noticeable. You know, it's so, look at the size of that thing. Just the whole band, every part of it is bigger. The Daytona is downright dainty compared to the Sea Dweller. I mean, in thickness. So, you know, if you're looking for really more of a lightweight, sleek watch that slides under your cuff, Daytona is a good way to go. Well-respected watch. But here's why I wanted the Sea Dweller. This thing is just too busy. You got all these little indices, you got all these little dials. I can't even see these little hands. I would stare at this thing for 30 seconds trying to figure out what time it is. So, you know, for years, using my old sub here, that thing's really easy to read. It's really easy to see what time it is. Nice big circles, nice big hands. But you may notice that on the Sea Dweller, the dial is matte black and not gloss, deep, rich black. I actually think that helps. I think it helps make it a little easier to read. And I have to wear glasses for distance. So when I'm driving, if I have my glasses on, I can't see that Daytona. I have to lift my glasses up like Marty McFly every time I want to see the watch. This thing, I can see it. I can see it from across the room. I can see it. Look at that. And it's just a beefy, manly watch. Not for a small wrist. Since I've been driving that Rolls Royce, my arms have become atrophied from how easy it is. I need to get back on my Harley and start riding again and build up my arms, because this thing, look at it, from lug to lug, it's literally the width of my wrist. It's almost funny, right? I mean, compared to if I put this one on here. So if you were thinking about getting a new sub, but you'd like something even more, like look, see how much, I mean, it doesn't look small. It's not small, but it definitely feels so much sleeker and lighter. It doesn't shift around, like it's very balanced, the Daytona. Like notice when I turn my wrist, it doesn't flop, all right? The older reference, the older subs, listen to that thing. It's like a rattlesnake. I didn't realize how janky this thing was. You know, it's still a great watch, don't get me wrong. It's classic Submariner. This watch will outlive us all right? But the difference in the build quality of the new watches, I have to say, you see where the money goes. Because when you look at these, if I give a little zoom on this, you know, you've got the hollow links here, it's folded over gold, and this is folded over with the pins holding it in. A lot of folded and stamped metal. I mean, this is right. But the build quality of these, look at this. How that's recessed, how this is milled. It's not stamped. This is a machined piece of metal, and it's not stamped. There's nothing on here stamped. Each of these pieces are like fine mill. That's a solid piece, that link. And it does not rattle. It's got a little bit of a motion sound, but you know, right? So I wasn't familiar with the Sea Dweller. I've only recently kind of discovered it because of this new style. The old style did not have the window. You had you had the gas relief picture on it. It wasn't the watch I wanted. The deep sea is not, it looks like a hockey puck, you know. This thing looks so much more like a Submariner or a Yachtmaster or a GMT style, but it's just a little bit bigger, just a little bit. And if you're okay with that, right? If you're okay with that little extra bit of, if you're looking for a bigger watch, you might want to consider the Sea Dweller. I'll tell you why. It's got a little bit more value as well. You know, if you were to pick up a comparable sub, you'd pay $10,000. Now you're going to pay another couple of $1,000s for one of these, but you're getting more watch, and not only physically more metal. The movement in here has a much longer power reserve. It's also anti-magnetic and a few other features. Go to Rolex.com and read all about it. I'm not going to sit here and break it all down for you, but they use a much better movement in here than they do in the Submariner that I think will last a lot longer, will be a much more accurate. Yeah, you can go 4,000 feet down into the ocean. Nobody's ever going to do that. I'll probably never even take it into the shower. I will never use this helium gas relief valve here. That's never going to happen. But I do like the idea that you can take this watch off on a Friday and put it back on Monday and it'll still be running. Nice long power reserve, very accurate, anti-magnetic property. Also, the movement is mounted in little shock absorbers as well, is what I'm told. So it's made to take much more of a shock. I think you could run this thing over with a truck and it would be fine. I mean, I've worn this watch, okay, the old style sub, for 15 years, every day, as a mechanic, every day. And look at it, it's basically flawless, right? I mean, I do clean it up and polish it, believe it or not, but it's got dents in it and things. You see this dent? That's because this is gold and it is a folded over link. That will never happen to this watch. It will never dent. This is solid stainless steel. So I think that this is a kind of a watch that's an heirloom that will outlive us all for hundreds of years and will still be ticking just fine. So consider the Sea Dweller. Here's a good look at it. Once again, you can compare it to some of the other watches here. Let's just see them all together. And it's something to consider between the Sub, the Daytona, the Yachtmaster GMT, and others. I really like the Sea Dweller. I think this is going to be my everyday watch. And hey, thanks for tuning in. If you're interested, I'll link to this video, the review I did of the Daytona when I just got it last week. And if you're into other luxury items, we do have videos about the Rolls-Royce motor cars and other exotic cars as well. So you may want to subscribe, like, and share. Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Videobob.